Hi, hello everyone. So I'm still waiting for a few people to join in, Um and I'm live on two places. One is, of course, the group, and the other is my Facebook page. So waiting for a few highs and hellos to come in, and then we start. Still waiting for a few more. I believe you all were waiting for the live, and you also may be having questions. Please do have patience when I ask you to ask questions, or uh, hi Vani, so that I take time to answer those questions. And I will be answering questions on two areas. Hi Shruti, because I'm live on my page as well, and so people on the page, this is where I'm referring to. Hello, and people on the group. Hi Bini, hi Nadine, hi Rohida, hi, nice to see you too. Great to see you, and great, thank you that you are joining this live. So I'm starting with why do we do family constellations. Now, I had prepared a few pointers on to cover why we do family constellation. A lot of people keep asking me what exactly is family constellation. So let me first of all pull out my list of pointers that I thought I should be mentioning to all of you, so that all points are covered. Okay. So first of all, I believe some of you are, of course, going to miss the first portion, but then people can always go back to the recordings, and I'm sure questions will come later. So if there are questions that I have already answered in the first part, then I will not answer those questions. Okay. So what exactly is a family constellation? Now, family constellation is nothing but a procedure. It's a method. It's an intervention for you to understand, as a client, as a seeker, as someone who wants to find an answer, that what is it that I'm carrying from my family which is influencing my life till today. So the different things that we carry from a family are, let's say, one of the commonest example is diseases that are inherited in nature. Some people say that, oh, cancer runs in our family, or some people say that we all have had acidity in our family, or someone would say that each person died of a heart attack. So what exactly is that? In medical science, as a medical doctor, I would say that, well, that's just inherited disease. It runs in the heredity, and it's hereditary in nature, and it simply runs in the family. So if it is running in your family, then good morning Nidhi, if it's running in your family, then clearly you are more susceptible to it. So let's say, for example, someone says that in the family there is prevalence of throat cancer, or there is prevalence of lung cancer. So what do we do when someone starts smoking? We tell them that in your family this is what runs, so you might be susceptible to it, so it's good that you don't smoke, right? So that's how we say it. But my question here goes beyond the realm of diseases. So are diseases the only thing that we carry from our genealogy, from our system, from our family? No. we carry many other things. Okay, diseases are tangible, they are visible, they are pathologically present, and they can be proved, of course, by different pathological tests, and we can spot it in the body. That's the reason why diseases appear so commonly in the realm of, oh, this is hereditary, this runs in a generation, so we say it very commonly. But what about other things? And what are the other things? The other things are relationship patterns. Probably you have seen similar kind of relationship patterns between your grandmother and grandfather. Then you have seen the same relationship pattern between your father and mother. And maybe now you are, let's say, for example, 35, 36, and you have the same relationship pattern with your spouse. The point is, you look at it, you think it exists, and then you forget about it. Because you say that, oh, this runs in the family. Or in Hindi you will say, ये तो चलता ही है, हमारे family में ऐसा ही है. Like, it's like that. It's like that only. But the point is, why is it like that? And the fact that it is like that, how is it creating a difficulty in your life? Or is it contributing into your life in such a manner that you are not able to live your life the way you want to live? So then the question is, am I repeating the relationship pattern of my father? Am I repeating the relationship pattern of my grandfather? Is it so that even before my grandfather, my great-grandfather had the same pattern? And that is how you see family mindset or family belief systems are passed on. For example, a lot of families believe that things like paise peड़ पे नहीं उगते, like money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard in order to make money, or you have to first of all get your engineering done, then you have to do your MBA, and then you are going to earn X amount of money by the time you are 35. Or examples like, we are a family of doctors, and by the time you are 40, you can't make anything. But the moment you reach 40, that's where you begin to shoot up. So where do these lines, sentences, statements come from? Right? They come from the family system. So if I am, let's say, a doctor, and maybe, for example, if my family is a family of doctors, it has to come from my father, people who have believed in that mindset, people before that who have been doctors and maybe seen the environment in such a manner that people post 40 only find success. So that belief has been passed on. Now that's a very modern belief system. So similarly, we may have belief systems which are not very modern, let's say, or maybe they are quite ancient. Let's say there could be a belief system where people feel that, okay, women are inferior to men, and therefore they cannot be treated as an equal. Now, this is not to judge anyone or create a critical statement, but then there are families who believe in such statements, and therefore what happens is, even if you happen to like someone, love someone, and consider them as an equal partner, somewhere or the other, what happens is you unconsciously tap into the belief system that has been carried forward from your family, and you manifest an inequality in your relationship with your wife. While your wife probably feels inferior to you and complains that, why do you behave with me like this? And your reply to her is, no, I behave in a good way, I don't behave in a bad way. And then maybe she has the guts to tell you that, or maybe she has the boundary and the strength to tell you that, no, but then you don't behave in a good way. You behave as if I'm inferior and you are superior. And then it may so happen that you may realize your mistake, or it may so happen that you feel that, why does my wife complain like this? I don't understand why she says, but I'm willing to look at it. And then probably when you realize that, okay, I'm willing to look at it, there could be something, maybe there is truth in what she speaks, you go to a family constellation facilitator or a family constellation therapist, and then you begin to understand that, okay, maybe your father also believed in the same. Maybe your grandfather also believed in the same. Maybe all the men in the family required to be like that. And they may have their own right or wrong reasons. We are not bringing justification to the reason. But we are looking at the pattern that, okay, what has been the mindset that has been carried forward? And the mindset that is carried forward is probably male are superior and women are inferior. And as we keep on exploring that mindset, going from you to father to grandfather to his father to his father, perhaps as we go further and further in the generational line, we may be able to find the story that, okay, if this is what has been traveling, clearly it began somewhere, right? So through family constellation, we can go to the beginning. And why do we need to go to the beginning? We need to go to the beginning because, when we reach the beginning, that is where we can resolve it. That is where we can untangle it, disentangle it, right? Because what is happening is we unconsciously are carrying these belief systems ahead in our family, but then we are not able to see it, right? So the point is, why do we do family constellations? We do family constellations in order to understand these kind of dynamics, that what are the hidden dynamics in our life, in our relationships, in our let's say diseases, illnesses, family conditions, financial situations. Everywhere it is seen that people repeat the trauma of their mother and father and the trauma of their ancestors. There are multiple cases where people have reported that their grandparents came from the partition time and they went through severe trauma during partition, loss of property, disconnection from their loved ones. Some wife got disconnected from their husband. Some husband had to go away or not be there for the fear of being killed. And all these different fears and disconnections and loss of property and finances, all of them remain in the family. Meaning, remaining in the family means that when these people are no longer there and new people are born from that family, and then going further, maybe the second generation is born, the second generation son, second generation daughter is born. What happens is automatically they also start experiencing similar kind of feelings. Maybe when they go to office, they feel that everyone is a persecutor, everyone is going to kill me. So they are simply recapitulating the trauma of their grandfather or grandmother who saw the entire fight and riot and war and felt really scared. Maybe it may so happen that one of the son from the second generation is a very successful, say, lawyer, okay? And after a certain point of time, maybe when he turns 35, his career falls and all the money that he has made goes away, okay? Now, why is that happening? The person perhaps is wondering that, okay, I was such a successful person. Why is it that, I'm going through this loss? And then when they come to a family constellation expert or a facilitator, they do figure out that, okay, if there is a pattern of loss of finances in this manner, then let us see where does this pattern emerge from. And we may discover that maybe because we are talking about partition here already, maybe in the partition where his grandfather was an extremely successful man or someone who solved issues for people, had a lot of land and property, and lost all of it. And this person is unconsciously simply repeating the experience and the trauma of their grandfather. Okay. Now, why does that happen? A lot of people ask me that, why me? Why do I have to go through all of this? It doesn't make sense. Now, the answer to that question is, first point, it is random. It's not selective. It has got nothing to do with you. I mean, you are not a special person who has to, carry the weight of your forefathers. Okay. So, all significance that you have attached to yourself, either from the fact that, okay, I am the forebearer of the burden of this family, or why should I carry all of this? None of this is true. Because, try and understand, a family is actually a system. Okay. Now, what is a system? A system is an arrangement, an accumulation of different parts. For example, the house that I live in right now is a system, because this house has a drawing room, has a, let's say, a kitchen, has a bathroom, has a bedroom, then has a dining hall, right? And every room has its own purpose. Drawing room has its own purpose, bedroom has its own purpose, dining hall has its own purpose. But what happens is, sometimes, of course, we go and eat in the bedroom, and maybe, we may be not using the drawing room for drawing room's purpose, but rather feeling bored at night and coming to the drawing room and sleeping. That is possible. But my point is, every room also has its own function and has its own position, right? So, its position is to be a bedroom. Its position is to be a drawing room, right? Similarly, now let us use the same analogy in family setups and family systems. So, I am a son, and I have my mother and my father, right? Father's role is being a father, mother's role is being a mother. My role as a son is to be a son, right? Probably to my partner or to my spouse, my role would be to be a spouse. Then there are grandfather, grandmother, right? And they are there in their roles. So, if you look at this is a system, and everyone has their own position in the system by order of hierarchy, by order of functions, by order of roles. So, whatever logic you may use to define these different positions and functions, this is a system, right? And I believe if some of you are from backgrounds of, I don't know actually, if some of you are from backgrounds of computer science, or some of you are engineers, you may be aware of systems theory. Now, if I bring system theory to one single line, we understand that every system, every group, and every organization has a consciousness of its own. Now, we may not use the language consciousness, I may not say the word consciousness, but what I am trying to say that it has a power, position, role, and soul of its own. So, if I go back to philosophy, it was Aristotle who said that the sum of the total, that the sum of different elements, the sum total is always lesser than what the system is. Meaning that if a family is there, or if a system is there, that's a whole, and the whole is always greater than the sum total. For example, if let's say this pen represents the whole, 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 okay, And this WHOLE, whole, has been achieved by the addition of X, Y and Z. Okay, so if this whole is achieved by the addition of X and Y and Z, then the strength of this whole will be greater than the sum total of these three. Meaning, in a family, I as a son, my mother as my mother, and my father as my father, when all three of us stand together, the family energy that appears as a whole will always be greater than the addition of me to my mother, addition of my mother to my father, addition of father to me, all total. Okay, so it is observed that every family has a soul of its own, and that is called the family soul, and that family soul is the WHOLE, that is the whole, and that is what determines that who is going to take up the burden, or how is the family system going to be balanced. Okay, so the answer to the question is why do we carry these different burdens, different entanglements, different weight from the family on behalf of someone in our life? We do it because it is not upon us to do it. It's the system soul, family soul, that determines that someone has to take it on behalf of the family in order to balance the family system. So, what causes imbalance then? What are the different things that causes imbalance? At this moment, I'm simply trying to go through questions if I have questions, but so far I don't have questions. Here also I'm checking if I have questions. I don't have questions up until now. Okay. Okay. Are you all able to see me? Just comment with a yes, or someone just say a hello, because I felt that the connection dropped in between. If you all are still there, please do let me know. Okay, great. So I did have a thumbs up coming from Vani, which means that I am still there. Okay, thank you, Sneha, thank you for saying. Okay, great. Yeah, okay, great. Hello Naina, hello Shweta, hello Pahi. Okay, great. So I'll just go back to what I was talking about. Up until now, I believe things are clear, things make sense, I hope. And I was saying that so I have a question here. If a family consists of more than one child, then which child will carry the weight? I just answered this question. If you just go back like 20 seconds back, you will find the answer. And the answer is that it is, number one, random. Number two, it is the system, it is the family which will decide what and who is going to take up the burden. So it is not that there is a which, there exists no which, as in WHICH. So there is no which. Okay, we can never pinpoint that who is going to carry the burden. Is it the third child? Is it the fourth child? Is it the first child? No, we can't say that. what we can say is, if there has been a family trauma, if there are traumatic episodes and experiences, then someone in the generational line will carry the weight of the trauma. It is possible that all three children are carrying the trauma. It is quite possible that one of them is carrying it. So it's the system that decides, and the system meaning family, and the family soul is always greater than the sum total of the components of the family. So adding me, mom, dad, grandfather, grandmother, let's say father's sister, mother's sister, all addition. So when we add all of it, the family soul is still going to be greater than the addition of all of it. And it's the family soul which will decide that what needs to be what needs to be balanced, what is in imbalance and what needs to be balanced. So what causes imbalance? What are the different things that causes imbalance in a family that may reflect in our life? So the list is actually really huge. The list is huge. But I'm just going to give you a few small examples, okay? Let's say I already gave you the example of the partition, and the traumas experienced during partition, experienced during war. People went through severe amount of fear. People went through loss of property. People also lost their parents in a very untimely manner, as well as there were premature deaths of children perhaps. That could be one reason. There was riot, there was war, and the traumas accompanying the riot and the war. So, and that's a trauma in a let's say magnitude wise is belongs to a lot of people. A lot of people went through it, right? Because it's nation-wise trauma, nation trauma. So now coming to traumas which are encountered by let's say two individuals. It could be the loss of a child. A mother and a father may lose a child, not necessarily by the child being born and then dying, which is possible, but also let's say when people go through miscarriages, that is a trauma for the mother. That is a trauma sometimes even for the father, right? That is also a trauma for the person who will be born next to that mother, because, well, we do remember the inhabitants of our mother's womb. Even if they inhabited previously, we remember them. And we do carry the traumas of our lost siblings. So that is another way. Many times trauma may also resurface in the form of, let's say, someone who died in the family at a very, very young age. And someone who went through a premature death, someone committed suicide, someone who indulged in acquiring money from other people by ill-gotten means. So what I'm trying to say is, wherever there is suffering, wherever there is trauma, wherever there is no expression. Hello, hi. So wherever there is no expression of trauma, wherever these trauma remain unresolved in our family tree, in the life of our grandfather, in the life of our grandmother, great-grandfather, great-grandmother, even great-great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-grandmother, or in the life of our parents, of our siblings, wherever in the family there is trauma, or there is a difficult experience or a difficult fate. By fate I mean F-A-T-E. We also call it kismat, right? It doesn't mean destiny, but it means that the life story that we live. So wherever the fates were compromised, where people went through difficult fate or a heavy fate, like dying prematurely, dying in a war, dying in a severe accident, dying because of suicide. Um, Hi, we just lost the connection for a few minutes. Please do let me know by either waving your hand or giving a thumbs up that I am still available and I'm still visible. If you could please do it for me. Okay, thank you. I do have a couple of thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you. So I was saying that what are the different experiences that leads to that qualify as trauma, and how we carry that ahead. Okay, great, thank you. So and we happen to carry them. Now a lot of people get confused that if I'm going through an issue, then where is it that I need to look at? And people come to me for therapy, people come to me for training, and there are different kinds of therapy that I do and most of my colleagues do, and they come under the realm of, let's say, past life regression therapy, inner child healing, ancestral healing. Some of my colleagues do emotional freedom techniques, some of them do expressive artwork, and in all modalities, my first outlook and my first understanding is, how have mother and father contributed to your life, and hence contributed to the situation that you are going through in life as of today. So I only, in my first session or in my first few meetings, try to resolve the issues that individuals carry from their parents, because that's not what we usually look at in therapy. We also make therapy very individualistic in nature, right? So the topic of today's discussion was that how do we go beyond the therapy to living life with this philosophy that we have in Family Constellation. And that does not necessarily mean that you have to make peace with your parents. That means that you have to be willing to see, acknowledge, and explore how you have felt about your parents, what kind of influence they have had on you, where are they placed in your life, are you taking care of them to the extent where you find yourself overwhelmed, are you moving so far away from them that you are completely disconnected, do you feel guilty about them, are you still angry with them, do you feel sad about that you are not able to take care, do you feel sad about the fact that you were not given love as a child by them? So all of these questions can be answered only when we look our relationships and our positions with our parents. And that I have seen happens beautifully when we do a family constellation. It is one of the lens that allows us to resolve our issues that we go through our current life, to connect it back to where our life began, which is our parents, and then also helps us connect back their life to where their lives began, which is their parents, and then those people to their parents. So then what happens is we have a more systemic perspective, we have a more system oriented perspective, and we don't have a individual perspective. For example, let's say I have a difficult relationship, let's say with my wife or with my husband, Okay, it may so happen that my husband is going through an addiction, and I am trying my level best but not able to help him or help myself. It may so happen that my wife is all the time irritated and frustrated. So while I do want to tell her that this is not how we want to live, but I also find it difficult to speak to her because maybe I'm scared, or maybe I don't want to, create more drama, more ruckus, whatever the reason is. My point here is that when I am finding it difficult to deal with my husband, then what I will do is I will look in my system, in my family, that what is there in my system and in my family that is leading to this situation. And I may then go back to finding that it's an example, so don't take it as the foundation. Don't take it as the only reason. I'm giving an example. So I may find that my father went through an experience where his father was not available, and he felt the emptiness in his life for the longest time, and maybe he went through a period of addiction, or maybe he went through an emptiness in his life which he tried to fill up level best, maybe with work, might be with alcohol, may even be by being infidel to my mother, or maybe simply by being there, not doing anything, and victimizing themselves. And it may so happen that when we study further, we figure out that father's father, who went away, also had a short, difficult life. Maybe his parents were also not around, and he simply felt a need to not live life anymore. I may figure out that maybe he ended up committing suicide at a young age, and that was because he didn't have his parents around and he felt a void in his life. So you see, the management of the void is different. Someone is coping with it or managing with it by addiction. Someone probably is managing with it by being a victim. Someone is managing with it by simply giving into the void and going and committing suicide. But then the void has been traveling, right? So what may happen is I may simply see a reflection of that, okay, in my life. So similarly, and this was an example, this is not an exact foundation, it is a possibility, that's what I'm saying. Similarly, let's say I'm a man and I have a wife who is, irritated and frustrated, and I do want to say, but I also don't want to contribute to the drama. Now what happens is and that is not actually my wife's problem, because even though it's my wife's problem, that is my problem, because I want to have a look at it, that what is happening in my life, what have I carried from my family and my system, that I have this kind of a situation, I have this kind of a wife, I have manifested this wife into my life. So then what may happen is I may take a step back, and through a family constellation, I may simply look back and see that, okay, this is how I have seen my mother surviving with my father, by being frustrated, by being irritated, and this is the only way I have learned that probably women remain in relationships or express their love. And I've seen my father to be a very quiet gentleman, and maybe he doesn't say it because he has his own reason. But then when we go further, it may so happen that because of my mother not having a very good relationship with her mother, who also always used to nag and be frustrated and be irritated for her own reason, always had that attitude towards her children. And her children also felt that this is what an expression of love is. This is how people talk, right? And therefore, the language of love became that. So now, I also have to look at what is my relationship with my mother. Am I standing in the position of my father, where I am simply trying to not just protect him, take care of him, but also allow myself to basically come in front of father, and whatever mother is saying, I'll absorb it. Let it not go to my father. Let me stand there and absorb it. That is also a possibility, right? And then that unconscious energy pattern of how a woman is and how she behaves with her husband remains in me, because I'm also standing in the position of my father. And I do exactly that in my life, where even if it is happening unconsciously, I simply attract a wife who is frustrated, irritated, or just nags, right? So a lot of people ask me that, okay, my child is going through this, my husband is going through this, my wife is going through this, or my mother is going through this, right? So then I ask them, okay, let us look into you, that what is it in you and your family of origin. So what is your family of origin? Your family of origin belongs to the parents you are born to, right? From where you come. So that is your family of origin. A lot of the times we get confused that who is the family of origin? Is it the family I'm married to? Is it my wife's family? Or is it, another family? Or is it the family that I'm born to? So whatever is happening in your life belongs to your family of origin. You have brought it in your life because you carry something from your family of origin that is finding space in your current life. Even if it means that you have a difficult relationship, even if it means that you have a difficult job and have really rude colleagues, even if it means that you have a difficult boss who doesn't treat you well, even if it means that you have a set of friends who do not appreciate you, recognize you, even if it means that you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend who is heavily traumatized and leans on you for their emotional shoulder, every event that I have mentioned is an outside event. But the way to resolve that outside event is not in the outside person, be it your husband, be it your wife, be it your boss, be it your colleague, be it your student. It is in you. There is something that you have carried forward that leads to the emergence of this situation that has emerged in your life as of now. Okay? It could be manifesting a difficult boss, manifesting a difficult manager, manifesting a difficult wife, manifesting a difficult husband. Everything is happening because there is something that you carry from behind that is finding space here, which needs to be resolved. So when you go to a family constellation facilitator, the facilitator will look into your system, your family, your origin in order to resolve your issue. They will not look into the family of their colleagues, of your boss, of your teacher, or of your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, because then the solution is remain outside of you. The point is the solution is inside of you. So that is why it is so important to look into your system. And how do we cultivate it as a way of life? We do it because then First of all, we take responsibility of all the situations that are happening to us, good and bad. Okay? We actually step out of the blame game, and we step out of fearful emotions that if I say something will happen, if I do this, something will happen. So basically, we step out from shame, blame, and guilt, and then see that, okay, let me see what is happening. What am I carrying that is leading to this? So first, we do learn to take responsibility. It is a hard thing to do. It's really hard. I'm not asking you to become saint and not say anything and withdraw and not draw your boundaries. But what I'm trying to say is, slowly with this process, we also learn to take responsibility of who we are and what we have brought unto us in our own life. Okay? Second thing, we always have a chance, however difficult it may have been, to reconnect back to our family. And when we do that, we don't have to make peace with them. We don't have to become sweet-mouthed and go back and embrace them and hug them like nothing had happened. But what we do is we look at them for who they are. So if I had a difficult, abusive mother, then through constellation I do reach a state where I no longer have to put myself in the position of a victim and she in the position of a perpetrator all my life, victimizing myself, carrying the pain and allowing her to be the perpetrator. I allow her to be my mother and we end that cycle. If I had a father who was abusive or alcoholic or emotionally unavailable, then I don't have to go on complaining about it my whole life, saying that he was not available, so that is the reason why I am so unhappy. That is the reason, I end up in difficult relationships. Had he been there, things would have been so different with my mother and me. So what is happening? Automatically, you are placing yourself and your mother in a difficult victimhood position, and he in the position of a perpetrator. It is through family constellation that we are able to end that. A lot of people may not want to end it. Why? Because being victim also is an identity for a lot of people. And by saying that, I'm not trying to demean or judge them. I'm just saying this is what happens. It's a happenstance. It's circumstantial. That is how people perceive. That is how people are. Okay? But yes, when we do go back and take position of who we are, so in truth, the fact is, my father is my father and I am his son or I am his daughter. That's what the truth is. And if that is what I carry now, and I'm able to somehow over a period of time drop my victimhood, and the moment I drop my victimhood, his perpetratorhood is also gone, and I no longer see him through that lens, I don't have to make peace with him. I don't have to go and hug him. But I can see him for who he is. Right? So it also allows us to understand that people are the way they are. Not much can be done to change them. A lot can be done to change ourselves. And we do not have to keep ourselves in the position of victim forever, so that we go on holding on to it and defining that as our identity. It is not our identity. We can be beyond that. So at least in my life, this is how I try to look at life, and this is how I try to make peace with things. So for me, it is actually a way of life. How I look at myself, how I look at people around me, how I look at my parents, how I look at my maternal or paternal family, where there are people whom I have never appreciated, whom I couldn't like. But now I understand that, well, that is none of my business. I cannot get there because those people, my uncle or my aunt or my grandmother or grandfather, came before me, and I was not in their experience to be there and either take someone's responsibility or fight on behalf of someone. So I come back to being myself, and I look at them exactly for who they are. And I have seen that it happens in the most beautiful manner by Family Constellation. Okay, so the point is that we truly cannot carry anyone's fate, anyone's burden, anyone's weight. To do that would be foolishness, because we will never be able to fulfill that position, because logically we are not in that position. We are in the position of being the son of the family, the fourth child of the family, the first daughter of the family, the child of this generation, and that's what we have to go back to being. Many times we are not able to acquire our true positions, because we also get embroiled in the drama and trauma of other people in our family. Sometimes if father is not around, then maybe I may take his position and shoulder my mother and become my mother's friend or confidante, or even become her emotional shoulder, or say a proxy spouse, right? And then I will also find it very difficult then to walk out of that position and have a life of my own, because if I have a life of my own, then I will be disloyal to my mother. For such a long time I was her shoulder, I was there for her, I was her confidante. How can I now go out and have an adult relationship? Because if I do that, then this position is compromised, and hence I will be disloyal. Similarly, what may happen is I may be shouldering my father's pain, and if say for example if I'm a daughter, I may be feeling that okay, mom doesn't give him enough credit, mom doesn't give him enough recognition, she doesn't give him enough love and acceptance, so let me just go and share his pain, shoulder his burden, and automatically I also become my father's emotional confidante, his shoulder, or take the position of my mother and become a proxy spouse to him. So then when I do grow up, I cannot complain about not finding a partner, because then energetically I'm already in the position of being my father's partner, right? His friend, his confidante. And that's where our boundaries are also compromised. So then it is through Family Constellation that we do go back to being the daughter or the son of this family, because up until now we were not in the position of the daughter or the son. We were in the position of the proxy spouse, or the emotional confidante, or a crying shoulder, right? And those were not our true position, because whatever was between my parents again remains in between them. When I get into that business, then I suffer because I do not know my position. Originally it's a zone of conflict. Sometimes I go here, sometimes I go there, sometimes I go to mom, sometimes I go to dad, and that's where we get entangled. So the idea is to disentangle and again come back in our true position and let them resolve it on their own. And it is difficult to do. It is truly difficult to do. As much as I am saying it out loud, it is difficult to do. Even people who go through constellation do take a lot of time after they are done with the process of constellation to absorb the thoughts, absorb the resolutions, absorb the solutions, and over a period of time the change happens. So someone had asked me on my page that are Family Constellations solutions permanent? And my answer here is that, see, the change will happen in the constellation. You will get to see the hidden dynamics, and you will also be able to resolve it. But do you have the strength to hold on to the resolutions and the insights that you had? Are you willing to practice them in your daily life? Are you going to change your point of view and your lens that you had carried up until now? And are you going to take your true position? On all these questions determine the success of a constellation. So the constellation does give you a revelation. It reveals a picture. It shows you something that you had not seen so far. But are you willing to now embrace that change and move ahead? So that is an important point, that you also have to bring a change within you. A process by itself cannot bring any change, right? It's something like you went through a cardiovascular surgery because you had a lot of plaque in your arteries because of eating cheese and fatty food and whatnot. But now your operation is over. You are absolutely fine, and you go back home, and the first thing you do is smoke 20 packets of cigarettes because you are fine now. So will it not reoccur? Of course it's going to reoccur, right? So it's the same thing, that you discover something, you have an insight, you understand it, there is a shift of energy at the soul level. But what are you doing to allow that shift maintain its posture within you? It is hence a daily practice. It is hence a way of life, and not necessarily just a process of 2 hours or 1 hour. It is going to give you a picture, but you have to embrace the process and embrace the learning. And that brings me to my last point, that many times we feel so bogged by people around us, like our friends, our colleagues, our husbands, our wives. So and we feel that, okay, maybe if we look into their family system, then I will find the solution. But that's not where the solution is. The solution is within you. So whatever may be happening around you, you may be having a promiscuous wife, you may be having an alcoholic husband, you may be having an angry rude son, you may be having say a group of friends who do not approve of you, who do not recognize you. By pulling them or therapeuticizing them, nothing is going to get resolved. You have to look, what is it in your system that you carry from behind you that is leading to the emergence of these people in your space. So people ask me that, can we do constellation for others? Can we do it for my wife? Can we do it for my husband? And I say that, let us do it for you, because you are the seeker. There will be a reason that you have such a wife, such a husband, such a boyfriend, such a girlfriend, whoever. Let us do it for you. And then we will find out that what is it in you that manifests in this space, in this manner, as a result of that, as this person. And when we resolve it for you, automatically it will resolve it for the other person also, okay, energetically. So I'll take a moment to go to the questions from above to below. If you are on my page, this is my page, and if you do want to ask questions, you can ask, okay? So I'm just directly referring to the page and then going to the questions, okay? Give me a moment. I have answered a few. Okay, so I think I have a question by there's a question. Is it possible that an ongoing trauma gets over in a particular generation and not getting passed on to the further generation? Yes, it is possible. An ongoing trauma may stop and not get passed on to the further generation if that trauma is healed, is resolved, or is accepted, acknowledged, talked about, conversed. It's possible. Looking at the questions. Okay. So there's a question here. I'm trying to, one sec. Is it possible that the ongoing traumatic experience get over in a particular generation? Oh, this I have answered already actually. I'm going to more questions. Anuj, hey, good to see you. Your sessions are always informative. Thank you so much, Anuj. Thanks a lot. So Sneha says, so in a nutshell, acceptance can lead to an easier life. Yes, but acceptance is difficult to come. So we do take the help of constellation in order to bring acceptance. Um, is there anything in family constellation about dominance of paternal side of effects or maternal side of effects? I mean, are our experience dominated from the side of the family? Yes, they are also there. They are quite huge. I mean, these learnings are quite huge. You see, family constellation is a large universe. It's not, it cannot be compiled into a 1 hour program, 1 day program, 1 week program. It's a way of life. Like, it's like asking, say, in the universe, how many stars are there? Family constellation is like that. It's so huge that you cannot, cover it in years, even if you go through years of learning and training. Okay. There's a question by Suniti. How important is it to speak of difficulties faced by a family and tell these stories to the next generation? Because cognitively it might add to hearing of difficulties, thus probably becoming fearful, etc. But systemically, will it help? Yes. I do make it a point to tell people that they must tell the stories of their ancestors to their children, and the stories need not be focused on fear, but the stories can also focus on the fact that this is what happened and now it's over. And my dear child, you don't have to carry it. I'm telling it to you so that you know that this is what happened, and your grandfather or your grandmother gave up their life, but you survived, and I see them in you. So that is a way of telling the child that you are the forebearer of this generation, and you don't have to carry anything on anyone's behalf. But yes, these stories were important. I never wanted to hide them from you. Okay, so there is always a way of telling stories to children, and we do it that way. A really great session. Thank you so much. There's a question. A daughter who is close to her father, who is very loving and caring but a bit naggy. Now she has a very naggy husband. Yeah, it is possible. It's quite possible. Any tips or types of practice to maintain the sustainability of the new resolution? That is exactly what I teach in my course, especially in my 4th module. I teach a course on family constellation. It has 8 levels, and in the 4th level I do talk about how to sustain the insights that we gain in therapy. Okay. Yeah. So I'll end it here, and while I end, I do want to tell all of you that I run a long course, online long course on family constellation, and we already had the foundation level and the advanced level, level 1 and level 2. Right now I'm not conducting level 1 and level 2 on a live basis, but we are giving out recordings to people who want to see the recordings, because we are preparing for the 3rd level, and eventually for the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th level. So there are 8 levels. So if any of you are interested in learning, doing, or using constellation, not just to become a trainer or a facilitator or a therapist in that field, but also to understand your own hidden dynamics, I believe that the course truly helps. And it also helps to resolve your issues. Plus, what happens is when you do the course, then you also find a community of people. So some of you are already there in the course, so you find a community of people with whom you can practice and discover your hidden dynamics. Our level 3 is happening on the 12th and 13th. Today is 11th, so tomorrow and day after level 3 is happening, and then level 4 in the end of June. So if anyone happens to be interested in doing at least level 1 and level 2, foundation and advanced, you can always let me know. Okay, I do have a few questions. I think yeah. Would you say that everything that appears in our life is meant to teach you a lesson, even painful things like divorce? I don't know about lesson, but if we are willing to learn, it will have something to teach us. So sometimes we are not willing to see everything as a lesson, and we can't, because at the end of the day we are all human being, and we may have our own set of criticism, judgment, analysis, rationality, But then there are times when we are willing to look at these events as lessons, and the moment we are willing to do that, we will also learn it. Everything is a teacher in its inherent nature, and we always have an opportunity to learn from every single thing. But then it is also our choice. So it's not that we don't have a choice. We also have a choice whether to learn or to not learn, and either of them is neither right nor wrong. Okay. So, yeah, great. There was a question: can we work without a channel? I think I'll answer this question during the course, because this does not support the video that we are doing today. That's a live video for people who do not know about Constellation, or probably people who know just a little bit. Yeah, so all questions related to the procedure of family constellations I will be answering in my course and not in the live. Okay, in the live, of course, you can ask general questions, not about the procedure. The procedure, again, we only answer it in our courses. So thank you so much for joining, and I will come back with another session very soon, probably on a specific topic concerning constellation, and I will see you all. Thank you so much. If you happen to be interested in the course of family constellation, you can always DM me, comment here, or inbox me. Easiest thing to do. Thank you so much. Bye bye.